Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're uh, really getting into something critical, something that feels incredibly urgent right now. That's the global mental health crisis.
Yes.
We're just seeing this huge surge in demand for support, right?
Yeah, absolutely huge. And at the same time, there's this real shortage of resources.
Exactly. Plus that persistent stigma that just stops so many people from even reaching out when they really need help.
It's a perfect storm in a way. And well, that brings us to the core question, doesn't it? How is artificial intelligence, AI, stepping into this really challenging space?
Right. Can it actually offer real solutions? I mean,
Yeah.
what are the genuine opportunities here? And crucially, what are the limits?
That's the mission for today's deep dive. We're going to unpack this really complex, fast-moving landscape of AI in mental health care.
We'll share key insights from, expert analyses, the latest research, but actually something else emerged as we went through the material.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, beyond just the AI topic, we found these incredibly valuable lessons sort of embedded in the sources about how to understand and communicate complex stuff effectively.
Ah, I see. Like meta skills.
Exactly. Think of them as like practical tools you can take away and use anywhere in your life to help you learn better, explain things better. That's really part of the value we want to bring you today.
Nice. And we've drawn from a pretty wide range of sources for this. We've got clinical psychology research looking at AI chatbots, papers on the future of mental health care.
Studies on what makes video learning effective, and even some really neat insights on just simplifying complicated ideas.
So it's a proper mix. Should give you hopefully a well-rounded perspective.
Okay, so let's dig in. The need for AI here, it really does stem from this global crisis, as we said. The scale is just staggering.
It really is. Things like depression, I mean, it's a leading cause of disability worldwide. And our traditional ways of providing care, face-to-face therapy, they just can't keep up.
They're completely stretched thin,
Yeah. Which creates this huge resource gap. You see these incredibly long wait times, right? People needing help now, but having to wait weeks, even months.
which just makes things worse, obviously. Delays critical interventions.
Exactly. And then layered on top of that, you've still got the stigma issue.
Right, the fear of judgment, maybe embarrassment, it stops people.
It does. And this is where AI, specifically things like chatbots, they offer something different, this private, anonymous space.
Somewhere you can express feelings without worrying about who's listening.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that anonymity, it might actually encourage more people to take that first step, to seek help earlier. It lowers the barrier.
So, okay, what can AI actually do in therapy right now? It's more than just like asking screening questions, I assume.
Oh, much more. It's really multifaceted now. Think predictive analytics, trying to forecast how well a treatment might work for someone.
Okay.
Then there are actual therapeutic interventions, things like virtual reality for exposure therapy, or chatbots delivering cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT techniques. And it's also being used for clinician support tools, helping therapists manage their workload, and for remote patient monitoring, too.
The emotion recognition part, though, that seems like a big leap. How well can AI really understand human emotion?
Well, it's surprisingly advanced, actually. Modern systems like, say, ChatGPT, they've shown a real ability to process complex emotions.
How do they even measure that?
Good question. One study used something called the LEA, the Levels of Emotional Awareness Scale. It's a validated tool psychologists use.
Okay.
And it found ChatGPT could articulate emotions in hypothetical scenarios pretty effectively. It's,
Yeah.
it's way beyond just spotting keywords like sad or angry. It's understanding context.
That's pretty impressive.
And what's even more interesting, maybe, is comparing these newer general AI models to the older bots built specifically for therapy.
Like WISA or Youper, those kinds of apps.
Exactly. Research is showing that models like Gemini Pro, and especially GPT-4, can actually outperform those older bots,
Perform how?
particularly in areas like correcting cognitive biases, things like overtrust, believing the first thing you hear too much, or the fundamental attribution error, blaming someone's personality instead of their situation. GPT-4 scored highest in helping users spot and correct those kinds of thinking patterns.
So the general AI is actually better at some specific therapeutic tasks than the specialized AI.
In some cases, yes. It suggests the underlying language understanding is just getting so powerful it can handle these nuances really well. It kind of hints at where this might be going.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Give us an example like the one in the source.
Right, so imagine someone, let's call her Alex. She's feeling really anxious about work stress, deadlines piling up, Maybe she can't get a therapist appointment right away.
Okay, common scenario.
So she uses a mental health app, maybe one using GPT-4 technology. She types in something like, "I'm feeling overwhelmed by my deadlines. I don't know how I'll cope."
And what does the AI do?
It might respond with something empathetic, like, "I'm sorry to hear you're feeling this way. It really sounds like you're under a lot of pressure right now."
So validation first.
Yes. And then it might offer choices. Would you like to talk more about what specifically is causing these feelings? Or perhaps we could explore some strategies to help manage the stress.
Ah, so it offers immediate anonymous support. It validates, offers next steps. You can see how that bridges a gap right there in the moment.
Exactly. It shows the potential for that instant, accessible support.
Okay, so that's the AI side. But let's flip it. What about the limitations of, well, human therapists?
It's important to acknowledge those, too. I mean, therapists are amazing, but they face real constraints. Firstly, just time and resources.
The classic 50-minute hour, right? You can only see so many people in a day.
Precisely, which leads back to those wait times, the delays. It just doesn't scale easily.
And the emotional toll. The burnout must be immense.
It really is. Constantly engaging with distress, trauma. It requires huge emotional investment. That leads to exhaustion, sometimes depersonalization, even reduced empathy over time.
And high turnover, I bet, which just makes the resource problem worse.
Absolutely. Plus, humans aren't perfect recorders. Memory limits, cognitive biases. It can be hard to recall every single detail of a patient's history, especially with complex cases. Deep personalization is challenging.
So given those human limitations, where does AI really shine? What are its key advantages?
Well, number one has to be scalability and accessibility. AI doesn't get tired. It can be available 24/7 anywhere with an internet connection.
Overcoming geography, time zones.
Right, and potentially reducing costs, making care more affordable. That's a huge potential win.
Okay, what else?
Enhanced candidness seems to be another one. Studies suggest people are often more willing to disclose really sensitive stuff to an AI.
Because it feels less judgmental.
That seems to be the perception, yeah. Less fear of judgment, less stigma. It can lead to more honest conversations. And thirdly, there's consistency. An AI applies the same protocols, the same standards every time. It can be programmed to ignore irrelevant factors, race, gender, socioeconomic status, promoting potentially more equitable care.
Okay, those are compelling advantages,
Yeah.
but it can't be all positive. The sources must highlight downsides, limitations.
Oh, absolutely. Big ones. Memory, for instance. While something like GPT-4 is good short-term, that long-term recall, integrating information across many sessions over months or years, that's still a major challenge for AI.
So care could feel fragmented without a human keeping track of the big picture.
Potentially, yes. Then there's algorithmic bias. This is a huge concern.
Bias in the training data.
Exactly. If the data used to train the AI reflects existing societal biases, the AI can end up perpetuating them. Unequal treatment based on demographics. It's something developers work hard to minimize, but it's often hard to eliminate completely.
And the ethics.
Yeah.
That must be a minefield.
Huge ethical questions. Patient privacy, data security. Who's responsible if an AI gives bad advice? What about autonomy? Misdiagnosis, the potential erosion of that core human therapeutic relationship.
Yeah, that relationship feels central.
It really is. And that points to what AI inherently lacks, right? Genuine empathy, deep emotional connection. It can't read body language, tone of voice, understand cultural nuances in the same way a human can.
Those uniquely human skills.
Exactly. Things crucial for truly effective personalized therapy. You just can't fully replicate that human connection.
So putting it all together, what's the conclusion? Is it AI or humans?
No, not at all. The clear message from the sources is that it's not an either-or. AI is seen as a powerful tool.
A tool to extend reach.
Precisely. To extend the reach of mental health services, maybe automate some routine tasks, offer support where there are shortages, but it has to complement, not replace, the human element.
With humans still firmly in the loop.
Absolutely. Human oversight, focusing on fairness, transparency, protecting patient rights, those have to be paramount. It's about augmenting human care, not supplanting it.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned earlier these sort of meta skills we picked up from the sources.
Yes. Well, we were digging into AI and mental health. These other fascinating insights kept popping up. Things about how we learn, how we communicate effectively.
Real practical takeaways for you, the listener, like valuable freebies from this deep dive.
Exactly. Let's start with storytelling. It came up in the context of therapy, but its power is much broader.
How so?
Well, the act of telling your own story, Structuring your experiences into a narrative, it can be incredibly healing. It helps you process things, feel heard, validated, reduces anxiety, even helps build a more accurate sense of self.
Like making sense of the chaos.
Sort of, yeah. And hearing other people's stories, that's powerful too. It builds empathy, gives you new perspectives, offers hope. It shows you you're not alone in whatever you're going through.
That feeling of connection.
Right. And a really crucial point the source has made, especially for mental health stories. They don't need neat, tidy Hollywood endings.
Oh, okay.
Good stories in this space often show that, yeah, pain happens, struggle is real, but healing and hope are still possible, even without a perfect resolution. It manages expectations, builds resilience.
That's a really valuable perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Next up is a really cool framework for simplifying complex ideas. Something super useful for anyone trying to learn or explain tricky subjects. It's called the CPD hierarchy. Concept, principle, detail.
Okay, CPD. Break it down.
So concept C is the headline. The big idea. The absolute simplest way to state the goal or the problem, zero jargon.
Like the elevator pitch.
Kind of, but even simpler. The example in one source was a musician whose concept for a gig was simply providing a fabulous show for the party. That's the core mission. Crystal clear.
Okay, got the concept, then P.
Principles P. These are like the main chapters. You chunk the complex topic into maybe 3 to 5 key areas, any more, and you start to lose people.
Keep it manageable.
Exactly. For that musician, the principles might be making sure it sounds great, making sure it looks great, and making sure we get the best performers on stage. It organizes the complexity.
Right, makes sense. And D.
Detail, D.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you flesh out each principle, you explain the specifics, the how, and crucially, the why. But, and this is key, always in plain language, no jargon the audience won't understand.
So concept is the what? Principles are the main chunks. Details are the specifics within those chunks, explained simply.
You got it. It's honestly like a magic construct, as one source called it. If you can master this, you can understand and explain pretty much any complex topic way more effectively. Meetings, projects, just learning for yourself. It's a game changer.
That's a really practical tool. Okay, and you mentioned something about video learning.
Yeah, this was fascinating research comparing different types of educational videos, specifically infographic videos,
Right.
Animated graphics, text, voiceover versus lecture capture, which is just filming a professor lecturing.
Okay, like comparing an explainer video to a recorded university lecture.
Pretty much. And they looked at how engaging each type was and how well students learned.
What do they find?
Well, emotionally, seeing the human lecture initially sparked more engagement, made students feel happier, but over time.
Right.
But the infographic videos were significantly better at keeping students' arousal or attention levels up over a longer period. The fixed focus on the lecture actually seemed to cause some cognitive strain after a while.
Interesting. So the dynamic visuals kept people more alert?
It seems so. And cognitively, just pure attention, the infographic videos won again. They held student attention significantly better over time compared to watching the static lecture capture.
Okay, more engaging.
Yeah.
But did it translate to better learning?
Yes. And this is the really striking part. The students who watched the infographic videos performed significantly better on difficult test questions afterwards.
Wow. So the format really impacts learning complex stuff.
It strongly suggests that, yeah,
Right.
how visual and audio information are combined really matters for mastering challenging material. It's not just what information you get, but how it's presented.
So, for you listening, this means being mindful of how you learn best, especially with tough topics. Maybe those dynamic, well-structured videos are more effective than just watching a talking head.
Could be. There was also a neat finding about cognitive engagement. Generally, more engagement equals better performance, right?
Makes sense.
But it's actually more like an inverted U-shape. High attention is good, but too much attention, becoming cognitively overloaded, can actually decrease performance.
So there's a sweet spot for focus.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
not just about maximizing attention at all costs. It's about optimal engagement. These insights really empower you to choose learning materials more wisely and understand why some formats just work better for complex ideas.
It underlines that how information is designed and delivered is just as critical as the content itself. Really useful stuff.
So let's try and wrap this up. Synthesizing everything we've explored today, the future of mental health care, it's clearly not humans or AI.
It's an integration, right?
Definitely. A powerful integration where AI acts as this tool to boost access, improve efficiency, but always, always with careful human oversight and strong ethical guardrails.
Leveraging the tech to basically amplify human capacity and compassion.
Well put. It's about extending support, not replacing connection.
And maybe a final thought for you to mull over. As we think about how AI might help us understand ourselves, our minds better,
Uh-huh.
let's also flip that. How can these insights we've discussed today about storytelling, about simplifying complexity with CPD, about engaging learning formats, how can those tools help us understand anything better?
Connecting the topic back to the meta-learning.
Yeah. What complex idea will you tackle next now that you're armed with these new tools for your own deep dives?